Guruji, you're muted. Guruji, you need to unmute yourself. Yeah.
I don't know why all this is happening. We are meeting after about a month, I think. We were in chapter 18 of Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 18 of Bhagavad Gita starts with Bhagavan's distinction between sannyasa and tyaga. And he said, yajna, dana, and tapas are three activities which are compulsory, no escape, no tyaga. And then he went on to, of course, this is all for karma yogis. Sannyasa is for jnana yogis. We are talking about karma yogis. And he went on to classify tyaga, sattva, rajas, and tamas, classify various other concepts in connection with this. Mainly karma, karta, dhriti, buddhi, jnana, sukha, etc. Now, all of them have been classified into sattva, rajas, and tamas. He has defined very in precise terms what each of them is. What is sattvic karma, what is rajasic karma, what is tamasic karma, for example. And finally, if you keep on doing the work allotted to you, swabhavajam karma, and he described the four varnas and what is the swabhava of each of the varnas. And he said that if you keep on doing the karma allotted to you, you will reach Bhagavan automatically. Then, how? He explained. Then he says, Swakarmana samabhyachya. That is the crux. That is the crux of Karma Yoga, which he has covered in these two words. Do not claim any ownership of the karma, do not get attached to the karma, do not get attached to the fruit of the karma, and dedicate your karma to Ishvara and develop Ishvara Bhakti in full. Sakarmana tam abhyachya, because karma is used as archana. Then he said, if I don't like to do my swadharma, somebody else's dharma, paradharma looks very attractive to me, I can do it better, no doubt. Then should I do it? Then he answered in negative. He said, paradharmo bhayavaha. Never do that. Even if your swadharma you do inefficiently, incompletely, it is much better than paradharma well executed. Then we are now going to shloka number 48 with this background. Yes.
Sahajam karma kaunteya sadoshamapi na tyajit sarvarambha hi doshena dhumena agnirivavrataha.
Hey Kaunteya, sahajam karma, the karma with which you are born, sahajam. The karma which belongs to you through your birth. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. That karma, even if it is deficient, sadosham api, even if it is deficient, natyajete, do not abandon it. Do not abandon it. Sadoshamapi trigunaatmakatvat na tyajete. Why it is defective? Why any activity becomes defective? Because of the three gunas which are operating through us, sattva, rajas and tamas. If sattva is predominant, then the question of that activity becoming defective will not arise. If tamas is predominant, naturally it will be full of defects. So he says, since these gunas are there in you, of course you have been trying to overcome these gunas and advance to sattva guna. That is okay. But the gunas are there, the three gunas. That is the reason why this Trigunatmakatvam atra hetuhu. That is the reason for this defect. Trigunatmakatvati doshena dhumena sahajena agniriva avrataha. Just as Agni is surrounded by smoke, dhumena agniriva. Just as Agni is surrounded by smoke, sarvarambha hi doshena avrataha. All activities, sarvarambha, all activities are surrounded by defect. Sadharmakhyasya parityagena paradharmanusthane api doshat naiva muchyate bhayavahasya paradharma. Adi Shankara emphasizes this point. Because you are afraid of dosha and then you are running away and then want to follow paradharma. Paradharma is very dangerous. Bhayavaha. Shakyate asheshataha tyaktum ajnana karma yataha tasmat na tyajayate. Since you are still in ajnani stage, for ajnani there is no karma. Since you are still in ajnani stage, you have no business to abandon karma. Adi Shankara makes it very clear. Now, this much is very clear, no doubt. But this shloka, Adi Shankara uses this shloka for raising certain points of the opponents, the Sankhyan view, the Buddhist view, the Vaisheshika view. He takes them one by one and he says they are all wrong. He defeats them in argument in detail. We are not going into that. Now, the crux of this argument is, what is the opponent's argument? Opponent's argument is, if you are not able to do something good, if you are going to do something defective and something else I can do better, why not do that? That is the opponent's argument. He says, this is not possible. This is not possible because you are trying to do something, because in these debates, these are all didactics, we will not go into them. These people are using an argument of bringing into existence something which is non-existent. If I can do that, why not do that? That is the Vaisheshika. Now, Adi Shankara demolishes all such arguments, saying that non-existence can never give rise to existence. This has been clarified by Bhagavan many, many times. Finally, at the end of all this debate, he concludes by saying like this: Katham tarhi atmanaha avikriyatve asheshataha karmana tyagaha na upapadyate iti. If Atma is avikriya, it has no karma, it has no change, it is changeless, then why do I do karma at all? Because my aim is to become Atma. Karma has nothing to do with Atma. Atma has no element of karma. Why do I do that? Yadi vastu bhutaha gunaha yadi va avidya kalpitaha tad dharmaha karma. The problem is avidya. If you have vidya, first argument is correct. Nothing wrong with that argument. If you have the capacity to meditate on Atma all the time with no thought of mundane world around you, then that is ideal. Nobody is asking you to do any karma. Sadharma, paradharma, no. But since you are overcome with avidya, and avidya itself consists of the three gunas, and avidya takes you towards worldly objects, which are again manifestations of the three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. Avidwan nahi kaschit kshanamapi ashveshadaha tyaktum shaknoti. He is quoting from earlier chapters, Shankara. Since you are still in avidya stage, you cannot drop karma. विद्वांसु पुनः विद्यया अविद्यायां निवृत्तायां शक्नोति एवं अशेषतः कर्म परित्यक्तुम् अविद्याध्यारोपितस्य शेष अनुपपत्तेः. If you are vidwan, you have overcome avidya, you have become a jnani. Yes, you can drop all karmas. In fact, all karmas will drop on their own. नैहि तैविरिकदृष्ट्या अध्यारोपितस्य द्विचन्द्रादेः तिमिर अपसपकेऽपि शेषः अवतिष्ठते. If your eye is diseased, you will see two moons. This is a standard example we saw earlier also in Vedanta. Once the disease is cured, you will see only one moon. Since you have the disease of avidya, you will continue to see worldly objects, which are of the three gunas. Hence, स्वे कर्मण्यभिरतः संसिद्धिं लभते नरः स्वकर्मणा समभ्यर्च्य सिद्धिं विन्दति मानवः. So that Bhagavan's teaching you follow, because you cannot leave your karma under any circumstance. Sahajam karma kaunteya sadoshamapi na tyajet sarvarambha hi doshena धूमेनाग्निरिवावृताः.
असक्तबुद्धिः सर्वत्र चित्तात्मा विगतस्पृहः नैष्कर्म्यसिद्धिं परमां सन्न्यासेनाधिगच्छति.
Now, he said earlier that if you keep doing your work as worship, sakarmana samabhyakya, siddhim vindati manavaha, you will reach your ultimate goal, that is moksha. How it you will reach? He said, I will tell you. So what is the path which takes you to moksha? So he has started on that subject. Ya karmaja siddhi ukta jnananishta yogyata lakshanam tasyaha phalabhuta naishkarmya siddhi jnananishta lakshana cha vaktavya. That is, this should take you to jnana nishtha, the goal of jnana, where you will be established in jnana. Ajnana has taken leave of you. That is the goal. All this is meant only for that. Karmaja siddhi. Siddhi came from karma, no doubt. Because he said, sakarmanadam abhyarthya. So by doing karma, we got siddhi. That siddhi will take you to jnana nishtha yogyata lakshana. Tasyaha phalabhuta naishkarmya siddhi. When you are in jnana stage, when you have reached jnana, what is called naishkarmya siddhi attainment. What is naishkarmya? Smati nishriyavaha naishkarmyam. Very obvious meaning of naishkarmya is doing nothing. No karma. That is naishkarmya. All karmas have taken leave of you. Why? How? Nishkriya Brahma Atma Sambodhat. Our mind has got a capacity of following the object to which it gets attached. That all of us understand. Now this jnani who was doing karma, which means he was using mundane objects all along. Now he has reached a stage where his focus is entirely on Atma, and Atma is Nishkriya. Atma does not do any work. So, because of that association, he has also become Nishkarmya Siddhim. That is the final goal. Paramam, that is the supreme goal. Sanyatena adhigacchati. How he got this? Sanyatena, by renouncing karmas. You must understand this step. You were doing karma, then it gave you chitta shuddhi. You were doing it as worship, so it gave you devotion, bhakti. This maturity of mind ultimately made you look at Atma as your own and not the body as your own, not the world as your own, the world, body or Maya. So that stage is ripe for dropping all karmas. That is what he is saying. Sanyasena, by dropping all karmas, by means of renunciation, he reaches that final goal. That for that, what are the qualities he has developed in the process? Asakta buddhi. His intellect is not attached to any objects. Sarvatra jitatma. Under all circumstances, he has full control over his mind. This is very important. Then only you can say, I have established contact with Atma. I have established disassociation with the world and the body. Sarvatra jitatma. Under all circumstances, control of the mind. Vigata spraha, with no desire, even in subtle form. Vigata spraha trishna deha jivita bhogeshu yatmat saha vigata spraha. Desire connected with body, desire connected with jivita, that is the way of life. All that should completely be absent. Then this final goal of Naishkarmya Siddhi, you will be able to reach. There is a shloka in Narayani. Narayani also talks about Advaita Vedanta a lot. There, in Dashakam 92, first shloka itself, he is bringing out the same idea. Vedai sarvani karmani apalaparataya varnitani iti buddha. Having known that Veda describes in detail all the karmas and says that you should do these karmas with fruit not in mind. Aphala parataya. That is what Veda says. So knowing that, Tane tvaya arpita nyevahi samanucharan yani naishkarmya misha. So following that path, I have dedicated all my karmas to you and I am looking for Naishkarmya, Yani Naishkarmya means he is using the same term. Then Mabhutve Dair Nishiddhe Kuhajitapi Mana Karmavacham Pravrittihi. For such a jnani, there is no question of indulging in prohibited karmas. It will never happen. But as a precaution, he is praying. Narayana Bhattatri is praying to Bhagavan, saying, Nishiddhe, prohibited karma, kuhajitapi manaha karma vacham pravritti. Whether it is karma or whether it is even word, vacha. I should not indulge in prohibited karma. I will not, but please ensure, please bless me. Durvarjam chedavaptam tadipivalu bhavatya chit prakashe. But since I am holding the body without my knowledge, if my body has indulged in some prohibited karma, then I will dedicate that also to you. Chit Prakashe, you are Chit Prakasha. asakta buddhi sarvatra jitatma vigata spraha.
तथाप्नोति निबोध मे समासेनैव कौन्तेय निष्ठा ज्ञानस्य या परा.
What Adi Shankara indicated in his commentary in the previous sloka was this sloka only. Siddhim praptaha, having attained siddhi, that is fruition, attainment. What attainment? By doing karmas as worship of Bhagavan. That I am able to, I have perfected that. All my karmas are dedicated to Bhagavan as worship. I have perfected that. That is siddhi. Yatha brahma tatha punoti nibodha. Yatha siddhim praptaha tatha brahma apnoti. Having attained that siddhi through karmas, how he will attain Brahma. The ultimate goal is attaining Brahma. That you know from me, nibodha me. Samatena kaunteya. I am telling you in brief. I am not going to go into detail. Hey kaunteya. Nishtha jnanasya ya para. That is the final goal of all jnana. What I am going to tell you is the final goal of all jnana. Nishtha jnanasya ya para. केवल आत्मज्ञान निष्ठा रूप नैष्कर्म्य लक्षणा सिद्धि येन क्रमेण भवति. That नैष्कर्म्य सिद्धि where your entire being is only आत्मज्ञान, केवल आत्मज्ञान निष्ठा. उत्पन्न आत्म विवेक ज्ञानस्य, before that you have reaped the benefit of atma vijnana. That what are the steps, how you will reach that? Are there any steps in between? That I will tell you now. यथा ब्रह्म प्राप्नोति तथा निबोधयति अनेन या प्रतिज्ञाता ब्रह्म प्राप्तिः ताम् इदं तया दर्शयितुम् आह निष्ठा ज्ञानस्य या परा. What is the final goal? That is ज्ञानस्य निष्ठा. निष्ठा means पर्यवसानं, परिसमाप्तिः, the goal, final goal. यादृशः भगवतः उक्तः उपनिषद्वाक्यैश्च न्यायैश्च. What Bhagavan is going to tell is confirmed by Upanishads and reason, nyaya. Now, as usual, Shankara is going into didactics, debate with the opponent. Now, is there an object called Atma which should be known? You have been all along saying it is not an object, it is the subject. Atma is the subject, the world is the object, you have been saying. Then you are saying now you will attain Atma. How do you attain as if it is an object? Then the answer is Atma is not an object. Hence, the knowledge here. For an object, normally we say that we know that object when we know the form of that object, isn't it? But here, there is no form for Atma, so there is no jnana of that type. Then what is the jnana we are talking about? Jnana we are talking about is full concentration on that Atma. That he says, what is preventing that? Only avidya. So he is going into great detail into because there are many objections raised by many people. Indriya Chaitanyavadanaha, Manas Chaitanyavadanaha, Buddhi Chaitanyavadanaha. He takes up all of that. Now Buddhi is having life, Manas is having life, Indriyas are having life, they are all active. So does it mean that if I use my Indriya, it is Atma? No. It's not Atma. So, what makes you think that Indriya is Atma, or Buddhi is Atma, or Manas is Atma? That is avidya. So, you get out of this avidya. Avidya kalpita nama rupa vishesha akara apahrita buddhi nam. For people who are in the state of avidya, in the state of nama rupa, name and form, vishesha akara apahrita buddhi nam, they are always attached to form, some form or the other. Atyanta prasiddham savijneyam asannataram atmabhutam api. This Atma has been described endlessly in Vedas and Upanishads. All Vedantic Granthas talk about Atma and they'll say the same thing. Atyanta prasiddham, it is very famous. But still, this man is not convinced. He is not able to get out of the mesh of that avidya. Aprasiddham durvigyayam atiduram anyadevacha pratibhati avivekinam. Because he has not developed the viveka, the capacity to discriminate. It appears as a very distant goal. But actually, it is not distant. Shankara says. Because in this context, because you are saying from Siddhi, Karmajam Siddhi, you are going to Jnana. So in the process, if there is any problem, what is to be done? So problem is only due to avidya. वाक्याकार निवृत्त बुद्धीनां तु लब्ध गुरुवात्म प्रधानां न अतः परं सुखं सुप्रसिद्धं सुविज्ञेयं स्वासन्नतरम् अस्ति. How, what kind of flowery language Shankara uses for jnani. If you have detached your mind from external forms and you have received the blessings of the Guru, it is very important. Labdha Guru Atma Pratava. If you have fulfilled these two conditions, Atma Jnana is not at all difficult. Atah param sukham suprasiddham suvijnayam sasannataram asti. You will come to know immediately. There is no time gap. It's very immediate, very quick. Then, but you have not listened to Vedanta from Guru. You don't have the blessings of the Guru. You don't have the grace of the Guru. And your mind is always attached to external objects. Then, it's very difficult for you. He says that. So, he is repeatedly telling, Shankara is repeatedly telling, this has been mentioned by Krishna himself in chapter 2 itself. Yasyam jagrati bhutani sanisha pashyato munehe. What is night for the jnani is day for the ajnani, he said. So that shows the contrast. So, in fact, Atma is not something to be attained. Earlier you mentioned it, what you mentioned is correct. It is not something to be attained. All that you have to do is to remove avidya. Once you have removed avidya, you are Atma. There is nothing in between. It is instantaneous. That Shankara is at pains to explain this concept. नहि आत्मा नाम कश्चित् कदाचित् अप्रसिद्धः प्राप्यः हेयः उपादेयः वा. It is not something to be attained. It is there all the time. It is more intimate than the body, he says. You say you know your body. Body is the most intimate for you. That is more intimate than the body. So how do you say that you don't know? Then, so jnane yatnaha na kartavyah kintu anatmini atma buddhi nivrittau eva. This is the conclusion. For jnana, no special effort is needed. All that you have to do is to withdraw the concept of Atma from objects of Anatma. Anatmani Atma Buddhi Nivrittau. Tasmadu Jnana Nishtha Susampadya. He concludes like that after a long debate. So सिद्धिं प्राप्तो यथा ब्रह्म तथाप्नोति निबोध मे समातेनैव कौन्तेय निष्ठा ज्ञानस्य या परा. Next.
बुद्ध्या विशुद्धया युक्तः धृत्यात्मानं नियम्य च शब्दादीन् विषयान् त्यक्त्वा रागद्वेषौ व्युदस्य च.
Now, all these concepts have been told to us many, many times. But in this context, Bhagavan wants to emphasize once again this process. That is, you have perfected the art of Sukarmana Tam Abhyarcha, work is worship. Now, how to take you toward the path of jnana, how to take you toward the goal of jnana. For that, you have to develop certain qualities. Buddhya Vishuddhaya Yuktaha Dhrityatmanam Niyamya Cha. Vishuddhaya Buddhya Yuktaha. Your intellect should be pure. What is pure and impure intellect? If your intellect is towards mundane objects, it is impure. If your intellect is towards Atma, it is pure. So, be careful to define your intellect. Maya Rihitaya Yuktaha. Free from Maya. That is the definition of Vishuddhi. Dhrityatmanam niyamya cha. Atmanam. Atmanam here refers to the mind. The mind should be controlled, always under control. Dhritya, by repeated practice of forbearance, courage. Shabdadi Shayan Tyaktva. Never show any interest in the 5 activities of the 5 sense organs, like Shabda, etc. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. Don't show any interest. Completely leave them aside. Once you have left all these 5 aside, there is nothing for you other than Atma. Ragadvesho Vyudasya cha. In the bargain, you may develop raga and dvesha because that has come from your earlier sattva, tamo gunas. So be careful, be on your guard. Raga and dvesha, attachment and hate, completely should be abandoned. Buddhya Vishuddhaya Yukto Dhrityatmanam Niyamya cha. Shabdadin Vishayan Tyaktva Ragadvesho Vyudasya cha. Next.
विविक्तसेवी लघ्वाशी यतवाक्कायमानसः ध्यानयोगपरो नित्यं वैराग्यं समुपाश्रितः.
Viviktadevi, always be alone. Don't be in a crowd. Aranye Nadi Puline Giri Guhadi Viviktan Deshan Sevitum Shilam. Like a forest, like a river, like a shore, river shore or seashore, like a mountain cave. These are the places which have been used by tapasvis in earlier times, which Shankara is recommending here. So go to one of them, stay there, don't cut off all your contacts with the outside world. Lagbhashi, don't go on eating. If something is available for eating and you like it, first of all, liking and dislike you should have by now overcome. But still, food is something which attracts. So don't indulge in that. Lagbhashi. Eat only as much as required to maintain the body. That is lagbhashi. Yata vak kaya manasaha. Yata vak kaya manasa. All these 3 should be under control. The speech, the mind, and the body. Mind, speech, and body should be completely under control. Then, what do? Dhyana yoga paro nityam. Always. Atma Swarupa Chintanam is Dhyanam. What do you think? Think only about Atma. What is yoga? Atma Vishaye Ekagri Karanam. complete focus being on Atma. That is yoga. That is why he is saying Dhyana Yoga Paratha. Think only of Atma. Meditate only on Atma. Para means that is the only supreme activity you are doing. You are not doing any other activity. Dhyana Yoga Paro Nityam Vairagyam. Nityam, always. Vairagyam Samupashritaha. Never develop any attachment towards anything. That is most important. Mantra Japadhyanya Kartavya Bhava Pradarshanaartham. That is, at this stage, you might have come through the path of mantra. You might have come through the path of japa. You might have come through the path of homa, for example. Now you have abandoned all that. You have no time, you have no inclination. Your mind is always in meditative mode. So your mind may go back sometime. Already I have stopped all mantras, all homas. Mantra japadhyanya kartavya abhava pradarshanaartham. So develop complete detachment even from them. They have been dropped purposely. They have dropped you. You have not dropped them. Drishtadrishteshu vishayeshu vaidrishnyam. What you see and what you do not see is the problem. This desire, vairagyam, raga, this attachment comes to objects which we have seen, objects which we have not seen also. So he says, Drishtadrishteshu vishayeshu vaidrishnyam samupashritaha. Samupashritaha means resort properly, well followed, well resorted to. Vairagya. Viviktate vilaghaji athava kaya manataha dhyana yoga paro nityam vairagyam tamupashritaha.
अहङ्कारं बलं दर्पं कामं क्रोधं परिग्रहं विमुच्य निर्ममः शान्तः ब्रह्मभूयाय कल्पते.
Now some more qualities Bhagavan is describing. All these actually you should have developed as a karma yogi. As a karma yogi, when you were dedicating your karmas to Bhagavan, you should have developed all these qualities. There is no need to go through another procedure for it. But ensure, because these are all mundane attractions, bodily attractions. Ahankaram, ego. Ego in your body, ego in your mind, ego in your worldly attainment, etc. Balam, samarthyam, kamaraga samyuktam, na yataratu shariradi samarthyam, sabhavikattvena tatyavasya asakyatvati. Because this has been your habit to have ego of your strength, of your strong points, that is balam. So that you must leave. There is nothing like strong point, weak point now. Because that is all connected to anatma, body, etc., body, mind, etc. Darpam, this is very important. Darpa is pride. Darpo nama harshanantara bhavi dharmatikrama hetu. When you are too happy, this pride will take over you. And when pride takes over you, you will cross the path of dharma. You will deviate from the path of dharma. And he is quoting from Apastamba Dharma Sutra, Shankara. Krishto dripyati dripto dharmamati kramati. If you are feeling too happy, you will develop pride. Once you have developed pride, you will transgress the path of dharma. Kamam, krodham, parigraham. All these you must leave. Kama and krodha we have seen n number of times. Parigraha is possession. Don't have any possession, don't have any attachment to anything. Vimuchya, all these have to be dropped. Ahankaram, balam, darpam, kamam, krodham, parigraha. Nirmamaha, there is nothing that is yours. Because you have overcome bodily consciousness. Body was yours all along. Now that is also not yours. So there is nothing that you possess something. Though the question is, sense of possessiveness is now gone. That is nirmamaha. Shanta, shantaha. Never have any agitation in your mind. Agitation comes only when you think of a mundane object. You can definitely agree with this easily. You can experience this. All agitations come from your thoughts of mundane objects. If you are thinking of Atma, where is the question of agitation? Because Atma is Shanta Swarupa. Brahma Bhujaya Kalpate. Once you have attained all these qualities, you have gone on the path of jnana, you have become Brahma already. Brahma Bhujaya Kalpate. You are considered as Brahman. Brahma Bhujaya Kalpate. Ahankaram balam darpam kamam krodham parigraham vimuchya nirmama shanto brahma bhujaya kalpate.
ब्रह्मभूतः प्रसन्नात्मा न शोचति न काङ्क्षति समः सर्वेषु भूतेषु मद्भक्तिं लभते पराम्.
Now, he said you have become equivalent to Brahma. You are as good as Brahma, Brahma Bhutaha. What is your characteristic? Why all those characteristics I have described already, but having reached this stage, what is your present characteristic? Prasannatma. Your mind is always peaceful, tranquil. Nashochati nakankshati. You will never grieve over something. You will never desire for something. Grief and desire are for ajnanis. You have become a jnani. There is no place for all this. Nahi aprapta vishayakangsha brahmavidaha upapadyate. Because you have known Brahman, this akanksha, that is expecting something, that is expecting some object. When you have become Brahman yourself, this desire does not arise. It is not possible. Samas sarveshu bhuteshu. You will be having equal attitude toward all living beings, not all human beings, all living beings, whether it is an insect, whether it is a bird, whether it is an animal. There are lots of stories from Upanishads and other Puranas how the jnani looks at all these living beings. So, samaha, he has equal attitude of equality towards all the living beings. Now, when he says, Atmaupamnyena sarvabhuteshu sukham dukkham va samameva pashyati ityarthaha. What is the meaning of equal attitude of equality? That is, if something is going to hurt me, it will also hurt that other living being, that animal or that insect. If something is going to give me happiness, that also will give happiness to that. So that is samam. I will do something to make myself happy, even if in the process I will do harm to that living being. That is our attitude. That is not the attitude. That is samas sarveshu bhuteshu. When you do this, what happens? Madbhaktim labhate param. Madbhaktim param. Supreme bhakti towards me, you will get. Labhate, he gets. Bhakti means devotion. Devotion means extraordinary love. That is called bhakti. And according to Shankara, there is no difference between bhakti and jnana. Because extraordinary love will come only when you become that object yourself. In fact, this is accepted even by practitioners of bhakti cult. In Bhakti cult, what do they say? They say gopis were willing to sacrifice anything for Krishna. Anything. Nothing was impossible for them. They never expected anything from Krishna. That is bhakti. That is jnana. What is jnana then? You have become Krishna yourself. That is why you are not expecting anything from. Because you have become that object, there is no question of expectation. When there is another object, you will expect. So, madbhaktim labhate param. Now, para bhakti is, there are 4 types of bhakti which Bhagavan mentioned in chapter 7. Chaturvidha bhajate mam janas supratinor arto jijnasurartharthi jnani cha bharatarshabha. There the 4th one was jnani. The 4th type of bhakta was jnani. So this concept we have discussed even at that time. Same concept now is coming. Tesham jnani nityayuktaha ekabhaktir vishishyate. Out of the 4, I am thinking that he is the best. Jnani is the best. Why? Ekabhakti, his extraordinary love, devotion is only for me. He has no devotion, no love for anything else. Priyo hi jnanino tyartham aham sachamama priyaha. Just as I am the most beloved for that jnani, he is the most beloved for me. That is an assurance of Bhagavan. So that Shankara is referring to that shloka. And he says, Parabhakti refers to that state of jnana that you have already reached by following this path. Because Bhagavan said, I will explain to you the path by which you attain siddhi, perfection in your karma yoga, how you will attain jnana, how you will become Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate, how you will reach that stage. Now he has explained all. What are the qualities that you have to develop? Vivikta Sevi, Laghuachi, etc. How do you conduct yourself? All this he has explained. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Nashochati Nakangshati Samasarveshu Bhuteshu Madbhakyam Labhate Param.
भक्त्या मामभिजानाति यावान्यश्चास्मि तत्त्वतः ततो मां तत्त्वतो ज्ञात्वा विशते तदनन्तरम्.
Now in the last shloka, he said he attains supreme bhakti, para bhakti. What happens after that? Bhaktya mam abhijanati. He knows me in full because of that bhakti. Look at that. We call already ordinary people bhaktas. If somebody is doing ordinary archana, he says, he is a bhakta, he is doing archana every day, he is doing Ramayana Parayanam every day. He is a great bhakta. Now here, this bhakti we are talking about, the 4th level of bhakti, leads to knowledge of Atma. Bhaktya mam abhijanati. Not even janati. Abhijanati means he knows me in full, in all respects. There is nothing of me he doesn't know. How? Through bhakti. Yavan yaschasmi tattvataha. Yavan means what type? I am of what type? What is my extent? Am I a single object or am I many objects? I am many objects. I am the whole world. All that he understands. He is not carried away by the world, but now he knows the world is manifestation of Bhagavan. Just as your own body is manifestation of Bhagavan, the whole world is manifestation. This he has come to know. Yavan. Yascha asmi tattvataha. Who I am in truth. Am I this phenomenal world that you see around you? Or am I something else? So, that Atma Jnana he develops. Vidhvasta sarvopadhi vedaha uttamaha purushaha akasha kalpaha. The first one was with upadhi, that is Yavan With upadhi, the world is the manifestation. When you remove all the upadhis, all the attributes, then you see him all alone. You see him as Sat, Chit, Ananda. There is no embodiment for him. He is not a body, he is not a form, he has no name. He is only pure consciousness. That you see. That is Yashasmi Tattvataha. Uttamaha Purushaha Akashakalpaha, like space which goes everywhere, but there is no definition of space. Can you define space? Is it black? Is it white? Is it long? Is it short? No. Similarly is Atma, similar to Akasha. Tam mam advaitam chaitanyamatreka ajaram abhayam anidhanam tattvataha abhijanam. He has come to that Advaita stage where he has understood that I am only Chaitanya, Chaitanya Matra Ekaratham, consciousness, Ajaram. For Chaitanya, how can there be old age? There is no old age. Body only has got old. Abhayam. Will there be any fear in Chaitanya? Fear comes only when there is an outside presence. There is another body present. There is nobody else present because I am pervading everything. All that he has understood. Anidhanam, will I ever die? There is no death for me. These are the things which he has understood. Tattvataha abhijanati. Now, having known this, tato mam tattvato jnatva, having known this, having known what is Atma and what is the world as manifested, he has understood all that through extreme devotion, through bhakti. He has understood all that. Having known that, in truth, tattvataha, then what happens? Vishate tadanantaram. See, when there are two objects, there is something called knowledge. I know this object. When I say that I have become that object, there is no question of knowing. Becoming is different from knowing. So the first one was knowing. Second one is becoming. Ultimately, you have to become Brahman, isn't it? Vishate means enters. He enters Brahman. Now, Tadanantara means after that. Now, when you say after that, it looks as if there are two stages. No two stages. Shankara makes it absolutely clear. This is only for making the subject clear to an ordinary student that Bhagavan is using these terms. But in truth, the moment extreme devotion leads you to proper knowledge of Bhagavan, you have become Bhagavan. It is instantaneous. There is no time gap. That is Jivan Mukta. Once you have become a Jnani, you have become a Jivan Mukta. So, Phalantara bhavad jnana matrameva, because there is nothing else to be attained. Phalantara bhavad. So, once you have got that jnana, immediately you have become that Atma. Bhaktyamam abhijanati yavan yashasmi tattvataha tato mam tattvato jnatva vishate tadanantaram. I wanted to quote from Rama Gita, sloka number 58 of Rama Gita. I don't know how many people remember Rama Gita. I had mentioned long ago. A beautiful Gita propounded by Rama to Lakshmana. Yavanna pashyedakhilam madatmakam tavanmadaradhana tatparo bhavete. As long as you do not see the entire universe as my own manifestation, you must see the entire manifestation as Bhagavan. Till that stage. Tavanmadaradhana tatparo bhavete. Till then, you should keep worshipping Bhagavan because you have not got full jnana. Shraddhaluratyorjita bhakti lakshano yaktasya dicchoham aharnisham hridi. Once you have been doing this bhakti, Shraddhalu, with great faith, ati urjita, very firmly founded this bhakti, then if that is the case, in his heart, I am always visible, drishyaha. I am always visible to him. Aharnisham, day and night. I am visible to him. Rama says this. I am visible to him day and night in his heart. If you have developed this type of bhakti. Now, same thing was mentioned here. Bhaktya mam abhijanati, he said, isn't it? Same thing is put by Rama in different words. Next.
सर्वकर्माण्यपि सदा कुर्वाणो मद्व्यपाश्रयः मत्प्रसादादवाप्नोति शाश्वतं पदमव्ययम्.
Now, he's sort of summarizing all the points once again. Because as we saw, chapter 18 is the summary of all the previous chapters. So, in fact, you must have seen that almost everything which was covered in previous chapters has come up here in some form, in a brief manner. Now, Sakarmana Bhagavataha Abhyarchana Bhakti Yogasya Siddhi Praptihi Phalam Jnananishta Yogyata Yannimitta Jnananishta Moksha Phalavasana Saha Bhagavad Bhakti Yogaha Adhuna Stuyate Shastrarthopasamhara Prakarane Shastrartha Nishchedarpyaya. Shankara gives an explanation for this shloka. He says, if you do work as worship and you become master in that art, then you become eligible for jnana. This was mentioned by Bhagavan. And that jnana will lead you to moksha phala avasana. It will lead you to moksha phala, the fruit of moksha. So, that bhakti with which you dedicated all your karmas to Bhagavan, that Bhagavan has taken up once again for eulogizing. Stuyate means so that you will get attracted toward that, whatever he has said earlier. Sarvakarmanyapi sada kurvanaha madhyaprashayaha. This actually is the earlier stage. Sarvakarmani api, all karmas. No karma being excluded, all karmas. Sada madhyapashrayaha kurvana. Always, all karmas. Look at the emphasis. Sarva karmani sada. Always, all karmas. You should dedicate to me. Madhyapashrayaha. In all are dedicated to me. If you do that, mat prasadat avapnoti. Now, whatever stages he mentioned in between, okay, they're all there. But will those stages lead you to jnana? No. This is the sloka, very important. You may do everything, you may claim that you have done everything. No, I am eligible for jnana. No. Bhagavan has to give you jnana out of grace. Mat prasadat. Out of my grace. Shashvatam avyayam padam avapnoti. The eternal state. The state from which there is no deterioration. Once you have reached that state, there is no more change, no more deterioration. That state he gets purely due to my grace, mat prasadat. Why? Why I should grace him? Because he developed the habit of dedicating all his works at all times to me. That was the starting point. So how he is linking the first point and the last point, you see. Sarvakarmanyapi sada kurvano madhyapashrayah mat prasadadavapnoti shashvatam padam avyayam. Next.
चेतसा सर्वकर्माणि मयि सन्न्यस्य मत्परः बुद्धियोगमुपाश्रित्य मच्चित्तः सततं भव.
Now he is giving it as a direct upadesha to Arjuna. All this time he was talking about third person. That person who does this, that person who dedicates all his actions, etc., etc. Now he is telling Arjuna, who is standing in front of him, directly. So what you should do now? Chetasa sarva karmani mayi sanyasya mapparaha. Sarva karmani mayi sanyasya chetasa. Through your mind, all your karmas, you dedicate to me. You do not claim any ownership of those karmas. You should develop sannyasa bhava, maya sanyasya. Having dedicated all the karmas to me, you don't have anything to do with those karmas. Mat paraha. What is your goal? Only me. Only Bhagavan is the goal, no other goal. Buddhi yoga mupashritya machitta satatam bhava. Buddhi yoga. Because you should always use your discrimination, viveka. Viveka is the activity of the intellect. That is buddhi yoga. Samahita buddhitvam buddhi yoga. Mayarpita sarvatma bhava. So, using your buddhi yoga, always dedicating all activities to me, machittaha satatam bhava. Always dedicate your mind to me. Your mind should always be thinking only about me. Well, these are the qualities which I have mentioned earlier. Now he is giving it as a direct upadesha. Chetasa sarva karmani mayi samyasya matparaha buddhi yoga mupashritya machitta sambhava. Next.
मच्चित्तः सर्वदुर्गाणि मत्प्रसादात्यरिष्यसि अथ चित्त्वामहङ्कारात् न श्रोष्यसि विनङ्क्ष्यसि.
Machittaha satatam bhava, he said. So always think only about me. Having done that, machittaha. Once you have done that, through my grace, mat prasadat, sarva durgani tarishyati, you will overcome all obstacles. All obstacles you will overcome because of my grace. Why I am giving the grace? Because your mind is always turned towards me. Atha chet tvam ahankarat na shroshyati vinamshyati. If you do not listen to my advice, which I have now summarized, due to ego, ahankarat na shroshyati. If you do not listen because of your ego, Arey, who is this? He is my friend Krishna. He is my playmate. He is saying something very abstract. No, I don't want to listen to all this. If you take that because of your ahankara, then what will happen? Vinamshati, you will face vinasha, you will be destroyed. Bhagavan is mincing no words, no expression. After all, why will he mince words? He is teaching Moksha Shastra. He says, if you do not listen to my advice because of your ego, when he is addressing Arjuna, it applies to all of us. If you do not listen because of your ego, what will happen? You will face destruction. Machitta sarva durgani maprasadat tarishyasi atha chettam ahankarat nashroshyasi vinamshyasi. Next.
यदहङ्कारमाश्रित्य न योत्स्य इति मन्यसे मिथ्येष व्यवसायस्ते प्रकृतिस्त्वां नियोक्ष्यति.
Yat ahankaram ashritya nayotya yati manyase. Now he is coming to brass tacks. What is the purpose of all this teaching in the context of Arjuna? In the context of Arjuna, it is that he should take up his bow and arrow and he should fight. Now, if you decide not to fight, then you are going against the Bhagavan's teaching. Now he is making it absolutely clear. Yadi ahankaram ashritya. It is not yadahankaram, that is typed wrongly. Yadyahankar. Yadi ahankar. Yadyaham. That means in case you resort to your ahankara and you decide not to fight, nayotya yati manyase mithyaisha vyavasayaste. Will you succeed? Having thrown my advice out of the window, you decide not to fight. Will you succeed in not fighting? Mithyaisha vyavasayaste. This effort of yours is all foolish. It's all false. Mithya means false, erroneous. This decision will be erroneous. This decision, vyavasayaha, this decision which you have taken will be completely faulty. Mithya, faulty because it is mithya. It is not truth. Prakriti swam niyokshati. Why I am saying this? Because you are a kshatriya, you are born to fight. Till this moment you have decided to fight. Your body is urging to fight. Your mind is urging to fight. And then you say, I will not fight. Then that is not going to succeed. From prakritihi niyokshati. Your own nature will make you fight. Niyokshati. Your kshatriya subhava will impel you to fight, constrain you to fight. Yadyahankaramashritya nayotsya iti manyate mithyaisha vyavatayaste prakritiswam niyokshati. Next.
स्वभावजेन कौन्तेय निबद्धस्वेन कर्मणा कर्तुं नेच्छसि यन्मोहात् करिष्यस्य वशोऽपि तत्
Now he is explaining the same concept which he mentioned in the earlier sloka in a little more detail. Because you have kshatriya swabhava. Swabhavajena, he kaunteya. Swabhavajena svena karmana nibaddha. You are bound to act in a particular manner because of your nature. Nibaddha, you are bound. Svena karmana, to act in a particular manner because of swabhavaja, by your nature. Kartum nechati and mohat karishyasya vashopi tat yat mohat kartum na ichhati. Because of your mental delusion, I don't want to kill Drona, I don't want to kill Bhishma, this is your delusion. Because of that delusion, if you do not want to take up this activity of fighting, do you think you will succeed? Karishyati avashopi tat. Even without your interest, avashaha. That is, even when you do not want, you will do that. Tat karishyati. That means you will do the fighting. Only the difference is, you will do the fighting in a dejected manner. Now, if you follow my teaching, you will become a jnani after fighting. Because I have told you the path. Fighting is the karma yoga for you now. So if you follow my path, you are going to advance. If you follow your path, you will still fight and you will go down in the scale. Mohat, because of delusion. Svabhavajena kaunteya nibaddhasvena karmana kartum nechhasi moha karishyasya vashopi tat. We close for the day. We will cancel tomorrow's lecture in view of my not so good health condition. And since it is late, I don't want to entertain any questions. We will meet again next Saturday at 7:30 PM IST. And at that time, we will continue and we will take up all questions. And I propose, provided Bhagavan graces, that in the next two lectures, Saturday and Sunday, we will come to a close of this Bhagavad Gita session. And the balance slokas, there are only 18 slokas now left. We will clear them in the next two sessions and along with a concluding session. Okay? So we close for the day right now. Shivaya, Shivaya, Krishna, Krishna, Devi, Devi.